Hi, everyone. In MLS 414, which is your blood banking course, we're going to be using a new learning tool called a 1-minute lecture. Now, sometimes these lectures will last more than 1 minute, but the idea is to give you an introduction to what we're going to be covering this week so that you have a better idea of what's important and what you should get out of each weekly module. In the spring semester, the courses become more complex and they build upon previous knowledge that you may have gotten in this program or as a result of completing the prerequisites for this program. But at any rate, I want to help you try to get through a lot of the textbook resources and the lecture resources that are available for you to use within this course. So this week is really just all about review, and that's what the slide says. The first chapter that you are instructed to read is a review of immunology, and whether you covered immunology in this program or you have yet to cover it, you've taken an immunology prerequisite course, and that will help you apply some of those concepts that you learned to the concept of blood banking. So something that will help you is to use another source besides the textbook that you've been assigned to read to help you with those topics that are confusing to you. And the last link here on this slide, the one that says Good Online Immunology Resource, is a link to an online immunology textbook that has a lot of explanation and pictures that will help you in understanding some of the concepts that you find confusing. The important thing is that you relate all of the immunology principles that are covered in this chapter and covered within the homework and the discussion topics that are related to this chapter to the principles and applications of blood bank testing. So one of the main things that you will see that this the first chapter really focuses on is the concept of agglutination. And you will also see there are a lot of lecture resources for you to use on this topic, but that's one of the main points that you need to get out of this chapter or this section of the module is the concept of agglutination and how it's used to, how it basically, it's the backbone of all blood bank testing that you will be covering. The next chapter is going to be one of those chapters that you hate reading, and I'll just be honest with you. This one's going to be confusing, but this is also one of those chapters that you're going to refer to as you move throughout the course, because it covers all of the different possible reagents that you have available to use within the blood bank. So basically, this is your background for the principles of all of the tests that you'll be covering within this course. The homework and discussions will help you. And one of the main things that you should do is to learn the recipe that's given to you within the lectures and within the textbook. And that is the recipe that you should remember and understand is how antigens plus antibodies give you an antigen-antibody reaction, whether the end result is agglutination or hemolysis, and how you manipulate that recipe as far as the source of the antigen or the source of the antibody will help you discover the answers that you want from the blood banking test that you are employing. The third chapter is genetics, and for those of you who are genetics buffs, this is again going to be a background for the principles that you've covered in other courses. The homework and discussions will help you work with the concepts or understand the concepts within this particular topic. The main things that you need to get out of this chapter are there's a whole load of definitions that you're going to have to learn and understand. And also this is the chapter that covers the patterns of inheritance, and you will learn which ones apply to the antigens that we will be covering within the blood bank course. And you also have a little taste of the molecular testing, so you can draw from your molecular course that you covered previously or that you're covering now within this program. So this final slide is just a summary of the things that I feel are important that you really should come out of this week's module with. And one of them is a good understanding of what the DAT or direct antiglobulin test is in comparison to the indirect antiglobulin test or the IAT test. You will find in your reading that the IAT test is the one that is the most versatile test, and we will be using that in different applications throughout the rest of this course as we learn the different blood group antigens and the different blood group systems. Also, as we talked about just a minute ago, the recipe for routine testing in the immunohematology laboratory and how we manipulate that recipe to find the answer that we want. Also, these last three bullets are definitions that come out of your genetics chapter. Make sure you understand the difference between homozygous and heterozygous and how that affects the results that we see within the blood bank. Also understand the difference between phenotype versus genotype and which one we test to detect within the blood bank. And also the genetics related to HLA inheritance. They're very complex. They can be very complex. So if you work on that now to help you understand, that will make what you're learning later on much easier as we move forward through this course. Good luck, and I hope you have a lot of fun in this week's module.